While training a bonsai tree, there are times when you have to make some hard decisions. Yes, I'm talking about hard pruning. In this odd bonsai video, I will present 3 reasons for hard pruning when training bonsai trees while using this clump style Ficus benjamina as a case study. And because it's important to apply hard pruning at the right time, I'm also going to talk about when to hard prune bonsai trees. Hard pruning involves drastically reducing the structure of a tree. This often means cutting off 50% or more of the tree's woody parts. This operation is usually done when the tree is still in its initial styling and training phase. There is also the case when hard pruning is applied to older bonsai trees for restyling purposes, but this is less common. Most of the times you would perform hard pruning on new material on its first styling. While this Ficus benjamina is not new material, there was no major styling work done on it. As you can see, the trunks are very tall, taller than their final intended height. And this leads us to the first obvious reason for hard pruning your bonsai, which is reducing height and unwanted branches. When first styling a yamadori or a nursery stock material, you remove unwanted branches and reduce the tree to the desired height. This process most often involves hard pruning. So all this branch structure that is outside the intended shape for this ficus should be removed. However, you cannot always just make a trunk chop wherever you want, as with some species, cutting back to a leafless section of the trunk could kill the tree. So a good tip for pruning in general, and even more so for hard pruning, is know your species. With Ficus benjamina, it is best to leave some foliage below the cut point, so I'm going to cut this trunk back to here. Another issue with this ficus is that the trunks have little or no taper, and obtaining taper is the second reason for hard pruning a bonsai. Looking at this trunk, it has some taper up to this point, but starting from here the trunk has pretty much the same thickness. So I'm going to cut the main trunk here. This small branch will be the new apex. I could go even lower to this branch here, but I like it as a side branch and I'm hoping to get some back budding on this section as a result of the hard pruning. Which leads us to the third reason for hard pruning bonsai trees, which is promoting back budding. Back budding means that dormant buds located lower in the branch and tree structure are activated in response to pruning. Here is a good example where my cat chewed off this ficus branch and the new one has started to grow here from a dormant bud. So by cutting this trunk down to here, there is a good chance that new branches will develop on this empty section of the trunk. As a word of caution, you should know that backbudding on all wood does not happen in all species, many conifers being a good example here. So again, you should know your species. I would love to know how you use hard pruning on your bonsai trees, so use the comment section down below to let me know about your experience and results with hard pruning on bonsai trees. It is important to know when to hard prune your tree, and I'm not particularly referring to an exact moment of the year, but rather to the state of the tree. First and foremost, the tree should be healthy. If it's not, let it gain vigor for a year or two and prune it after that. Second, for best results, the tree should have enough energy to recover. This is why it is best to apply hard pruning when a tree exits a dormant period or right before a new growth spurt. This ficus was just coming out of the dormancy period, so it should now redirect all the stored energy to dormant buds. This is how the Ficus benjamina clump looks now after growing for over 2 months since the pruning operation. Let's check out the results of hard pruning. Obviously, there is a lot of new growth on all 3 trunks. However, in terms of backbudding, results were not as I hoped. This is the only trunk that was willing to backbud, but the new branches are just too low on the trunk to be of any use for the design of the tree, so I'm going to remove them. There are some new buds forming here on this top branch, but there's no other new growth on the main trunks that could be used to develop lower branches. This proves that the technique works, but you may not always get the expected results. There's only so much you can do to force a tree to produce branches in the right places. With enough patience and perseverance, I'm sure this Ficus benjamina will develop into a nice bonsai in the future. For now, I'm just going to make some small corrections. I'll cut off this top here where my cat chewed off a branch. This branch is growing towards the inside of the clump, so I'll cut it back to here. I also want to direct the growth of this branch toward the outside, so I'll cut off its current leader. This small branch here is also kind of growing toward the inside and will eventually be shadowing the branch below it. So I will cut it back to here, so that it develops towards the outside of the clump. I noticed several other branches that could be trimmed off, and I am tempted to do more trimming, but I think it would be best if I stop here for now and just let the tree recover. So I will do that and let the tree grow freely for the rest of the summer, let it gain vigor, and I will probably be doing more trimming at the end of the summer. This was all for now. Thank you for watching and see you in the next Odd Bonsai video.